Hello survivors, welcome back to another video. How are you today, guys? Let me know in the comments. Today, guys, we are going to talk about a big mistake that rally leaders make in the Reservoir Raid or Reservoir League, and it's about the usage of these talents. I don't have the other ones that are going to talk about, but I'm actually going to talk about Massive March and the Synergistic attack, which is one that you unlock once you reach Plasma 8, if I'm not mistaken. So usually when do rally leaders use this talent? Well, they use the Massive March and the other ones just enough time to make the most of them. For example, Massive March is activated just for 30 minutes, so they will use the talent 30 minutes into the fight. And the other one is just lasts for 15 minutes, so they will use it 15 minutes into the fight. And the logic of this is like, well, I just have to make the most of the march, because if it lasts 30 minutes and I'm activating it in the beginning, then by the half of the match, I'm not gonna have the same amount of march or amount of troop that I can march per march. And then if I activate the 15 minutes synergistic attack, then I'm just gonna have the benefit for 15 minutes, and then for the 45 minutes I'm not gonna have any benefits. So it makes sense if you go for the pure math that you activate them enough to be able to use them for, you know, the whole time that they're gonna be activated, and of course just before the battle ends. And they also use it because the Reservoir Raid, it didn't start as an event to like practice your strategy or just to fight the alliance to win. It started actually as an event to just gather a lot of troops and then go after the other players, because you are not losing troops, so people got excited attacking other players, and they reckon that, oh well, at the end of the match, for example, 15 minutes into the match, 30 minutes into the match, the longer that the match is going, the less troops the opponents has. So if I activate this march, for example, 30 minutes into the battle and the synergistic attack the last 15 minutes, then I'm gonna be more powerful, I'm gonna be able to march more soldiers per march. And of course the enemy is gonna be weaker, so for me, for burning people, is gonna be great. And yeah, if your goal during the Reservoir Raid is to burn people, to smoke the players and just like annihilate all the soldiers, yeah, you wanna do that. You wanna activate the last 15 minutes the synergistic attack as a Plasma 8, 9 or 10. And then you want to activate Massive March, you know, for example, the last 30 minutes of the fight, so that you can march more soldiers per march and you are stronger, so that you can make the most of the weaker players. But I guess if you are in the Reservoir League, or if you are now playing for a long time the Reservoir Raid, you don't want that. You actually want to win the match. So what's the best strategy for these talents? The best strategy for these talents are not activating them like 30 minutes into the match or 15 minutes or 45 minutes into the match. It's right before the match. You as a rally leader, you have to activate this talent before the battle starts, so that you are able to march since the beginning of the match. You are able to march more soldiers than the opposite team than the enemy, and that you are stronger because you are activated the 15% like troop extra damage. I don't know actually how much percentage it gives you the synergistic attack, but because the fights are so close, and because in the beginning of the match it's super important to take care of the buildings to get the first occupation, and because it is super important to be able to send a lot of marches to the buildings to reinforce them, because sometimes a stronger player are solo in the buildings, and if you don't have enough troops there, of course they are going to take the building. It is super important that you have an advantage, and as a rally leader, because you are fighting with people who are spending also money, the only advantage that you have is the talents that you use. So if you have two Plasma 10s with max heroes, max gears, and the only difference is maybe the level of aircraft, but let's assume that everything is the same, and you are pretending to take the first occupation, what's actually gonna give you that edge is just being able to march more troops and being able to get extra damage. But if you are a rally leader, you are all gonna be using the buff here, for example, yeah, troop lethality, troop defense, you are gonna be all boosted up, you know. So what actually is gonna make a big difference is that you are able to save more soldiers and that you are able to get extra damage using the synergistic attack, because most of the rally leaders, they are activating that at the end of the match. But if you activate it in the beginning, then the rally leader, let's suppose that he's sending the main march to the building to take it, and usually you are a little bit lower in stacks, let's say for the aircraft or something, but because you activated the extra damage and because you have more march in more troops in your march, then you are gonna be able to kick him out or kick her out and take the building, so the other people are gonna reinforce it, and then you are gonna be able to hold that building first and get the first occupation. It's the same for when you are reinforcing other building. Let's say like a weaker player is taking the building with 180,000 troops and another player is trying to solo it. So if you are able to send more soldiers, you are not going to be able to they are not going to be able to take it soloing, because you are sending more troops per march. So yeah, because you have that extra damage, you know, because you're activating the synergistic attack, it is going to benefit. So when I see the people who are not since the beginning boarding player, for example, a good example of this is Michari since the beginning, he's a smoking player. So does it make sense for him to activate it, for example, since the beginning, the synergistic attack and the massive march for that purpose? Yeah, but if it wasn't like burning player from the beginning, maybe he would just activate it, I don't know, 30 minutes in or 45 minutes in to make the benefits of those by the end of the match. But no, you have to activate it before, and not necessarily for burning people, but to take care of the buildings, so that you are able to march more soldiers per march. And of course, because at the top there are just very little difference in stats, if you can march 20 more thousand troops, this is gonna help you to take those buildings. It is gonna help you to reinforce the buildings who are being attacked, especially in the beginning when everybody's soloing the buildings just to try to take them. And if you have the extra percent damage and the extra troop, then of course that's gonna help you a lot, guys. So if you are a rally leader and you are watching this, don't activate in 30 minutes into the fight, 45 minutes into the fight. Just right before you start, you have to activate all the talents, you have to use all the boost, and then you have that benefit in the beginning when all the spenders are like, yeah, I just gonna wait to activating. And the other thing is like they have to log out. Sometimes you are into the fight, you forget, or you are like it's just a matter of seconds. If you call a rally too late or if you send a march too late, it can mean that you are not taking the building or the enemy is taking the building. So you just don't want to be just going out. Sometimes it also makes the game super slow and crash. So you don't want to do that. You just want to have everything ready, and at the same time you are getting an extra benefit. So going out to activate the talent, it doesn't benefit you at all. And if you think about this, you see like, okay, what am I doing with more match capacity in 30 minutes into the match when like the majority of the points have been gathered? So what am I gonna change, like marching 20 more soldiers 30 minutes into the fight? If I wanna burn people, of course they are weaker, I can attack them, I can march more soldiers per match, that's good. But if we are talking about like in terms of taking the buildings, it is not gonna make a big difference. So in the beginning it is, because you are like battling one march against one march from an spender, and if you are an spender, it's 1-to-1. So having more extra damage and more march is gonna benefit you. But after, when you are just rallying people, 20 more of your soldiers, 20 more thousand of your soldiers and stuff, is not gonna make a big difference. So yeah, activating right before the fight, guys. This is my advice. I always tell you this. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. I hope it is helpful. So if you are benefit from this, give like, subscribe. I never ask you this. I just remember this to ask you. And yeah, I hope you enjoy, and see you next time.